story recapped here. Today I'm going to explain a comedy, drama, and horror film called One Cut of the Dead. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. As a zombie approaches Chinatsu, she keeps it at bay with an axe. Because it used to be her friend Ko, Chinatsu pleads for him to stop, but she gets bitten. The zombie stops after the director yells cut, revealing that they were simply shooting a zombie movie. Unsatisfied, the director, Higurashi, demands real fear from Chinatsu's performance. When Higurashi keeps shouting at Chinatsu, Ko stops him, but ends up getting the brunt of Higurashi's anger. Higurashi slaps Ko and holds him by the collar as he berates him. Now, the makeup artist steps in and orders a half-hour break. During their break, Ko checks on Chinatsu, who's starting to doubt her acting, but Ko assures her that she's doing good. Now hands them drinks and fixes Chinatsu's makeup as she sympathizes with her experience. Playing around with the props, Ko realizes that the axe they're using is a real one. Just then, Kasahara, one of the cameramen, walks by, saying Higurashi ordered him to sprinkle blood on the roof. Looking around the location, Ko compliments how fitting the place is for their movie, so now tells him urban legends about the place. It used to be an abandoned water recycling plant, but only as a cover for a much more sinister truth, that the Japanese army uses the location to conduct experiments to resurrect the dead. As Nao is about to say more, a thud on the door surprises them, but Ko brushes it off as the wind. To lighten the mood, Ko asks about Nao's hobbies, so she demonstrates the self-defense technique she's been studying. She shows them a maneuver on how to escape a grab by raising her arms and shouting "Pom." While they have their fun, their sound guy, Yamakoe, walks outside. Meanwhile, Kasahara, who's coming back from the roof, tries to enjoy a smoke when Manabu, another cameraman, appears behind him as a zombie. After noticing Manabu, Kasahara is momentarily shocked but thinks Manabu is just playing around. However, Manabu throws up on Kasahara, and he shouts in terror as Manabu feasts on him. Kasahara's hand flies inside the building, scaring the three, yet Nao and Ko pass it off as a prop. When Kasahara stumbles inside, falling onto Ko, they still think that Kasahara is pranking them. When Nao tries to wake up Kasahara, she touches his arm, only to realize that it's actually bitten off. As Nao runs away in fear, Ko backs up from the body. Just then, Manabu gets inside and tries to attack Chinatsu, so Ko pushes him back outside. While the horror dawns on them, Kasahara reanimates as a zombie, trying to attack them. However, they pass his bitten arm around, and Kasahara follows it until Ko throws it outside, baiting Kasahara to leave. When Higurashi appears behind them with a camera, they're in disbelief that he's still filming them, so Chinatsu runs away in frustration. Ko tries to stop him, but Higurashi is too obsessed with making his film, saying they can't fake it anymore because it's the real deal. When Nao says that's impossible, Higurashi says he made it possible by sprinkling the roof with blood. When Higurashi starts to explain, Yamakoe tries to go outside, so Higurashi stops him. The others convince him to stay because there are zombies outside, but Yamakoe insists, pushing Higurashi out of the way as he runs. Unable to stop Yamakoe, they can only watch in shock as he meets his doom. Before going after Yamakoe, Higurashi addresses the camera not to stop filming. Looking for answers, Chinatsu asks about the rumors, so Nao tells her that spreading blood is a spell that brings something back to life, but she doesn't specify further, saying she'll tell them later. However, Chinatsu demands answers. Suddenly, a loud banging cuts their conversation short as Higurashi asks to be let in, saying he's alone. Before letting him in, Nao positions her axe in defense. When they open the door, Higurashi pushes a zombie Yamakoe inside. He keeps filming as the others fend off the zombie, until Nao beheads Yamakoe with the axe. Higurashi is happy about the shots he's getting. Chinatsu screams in fear as Nao kicks Yamakoe's corpse, but Higurashi compliments the real fear Chinatsu is displaying. Finally having enough, Ko knocks Higurashi unconscious. Afterward, they run to the van, but they realize that the key is with Kasahara, who suddenly appears beside the van. Higurashi films the scene unfolding and lets Kasahara inside. When Chinatsu tries to escape, Kasahara chases her while the cameraman falls, leaving the camera on the ground. Running away, Chinatsu goes down an underground path as Kasahara chases her. She gets surrounded when Manabu appears from the other side. Thankfully, Ko takes Kasahara down before pulling Chinatsu to safety. They run back inside the building, banging on the door for Nao to open it. Inside, Nao notices a wound on Chinatsu's ankle. Taking an axe, Nao says she wants to be sure, so Ko protects Chinatsu to let her run away. Outside, Manabu appears, so Nao kicks him down while Chinatsu runs up to the roof. When Kasahara jumps out, Nao takes him down too. Shouting for help, Chinatsu comes across Higurashi, who's still filming, but Nao kicks him out of the way. On the roof, Ko tries to stop Nao, but she twists his arm, and Ko shouts for the camera to be stopped. However, the camera focuses on Chinatsu instead as she keeps screaming in terror while watching the fight. Ko manages to defeat Nao, but when Ko goes to hug Chinatsu, she pushes him away, telling him not to come closer. Before Ko could follow Chinatsu, he gets held back. Chinatsu runs downstairs, hiding inside a shed. Upon surveying the alleged bite on her ankle, it turns out to be a piece of dirt. A zombie suddenly walks inside the shed. Looking up, Chinatsu clamps her mouth in fear until the zombie walks away. Safe from the threat, Chinatsu finds another axe outside before spotting Ko on the roof. She runs to him but discovers that he's now a zombie. She starts to cry, but then Nao stands up, confused. Chinatsu screams, and Nao goes back down. Back with Ko, Chinatsu holds him at bay with the axe while Higurashi appears, eagerly filming the scene. Shouting for Ko to stop, Chinatsu tries to hold his hand when he actually stays still, only for him to start walking close again. This exchange happens twice until Chinatsu finally beheads him with the axe. Afterward, Higurashi reprimands Chinatsu for killing his actors, making Chinatsu chase him with the axe and repeatedly strike him. With her body coated in blood, Chinatsu walks away, standing directly on a pentagram drawn in blood. As she turns around, she looks up at the shaky camera before the title, One Cut of the Dead, appears, and the credits roll. 1 month earlier, Higurashi was busy filming a scene with Manabu, who was actually an actor, when Shinichiro, a producer, took him to his superior Yoshiko. Shinichiro and Yoshiko asked Higurashi to spearhead a film project for a new zombie channel. Yoshiko told him that it's about a team who shoots a zombie movie in an abandoned building, but they start to come across real zombies. Furthermore, she noted 2 important things about the film. First, it's going to be broadcast live. Second, it should be done in a one-take, uninterrupted shooting. When Higurashi started laughing at how ridiculous it sounded, Yoshiko assured him they were serious. At home, Nao studied self-defense techniques and practiced the palm maneuver. Just then, Mao, their daughter, rushed outside for her first day of work on a movie set, so Nao asked Higurashi, her husband, to keep an eye on her. On the set, Mao tried to force a kid to cry real tears during a scene and not to rely on eye drops. When the child's mother told Mao that the eye drops were fine, Mao said a mom couldn't interfere. The mother tried to leave with her child, so the director stopped her. Higurashi, who's been watching from a distance, stepped in to stop Mao and apologized to the director. Mao ended up getting fired for her attitude, making her angry with Higurashi. At home, Mao watched an interview with Kamiya, who Nao pointed out as Mao's latest crush. In the interview, Kamiya revealed that he was going to be in a horror movie soon. Thus, Higurashi checked the casting for One Cut of the Dead and saw that Kamiya would be playing Ko. During the table read, the actors and crew met. When the actor for Kasahara noticed Manabu drinking, Manabu told him that his hands shook whenever he drank, telling Kasahara to just shush. Meanwhile, Yamakoe called for one of the staff, Ayana, to complain about his water, saying he only drinks soft water to avoid diarrhea. Then, Ida, the actress for the makeup artist, arrived, bringing her baby along because her husband was away. The man who's supposed to play the director, Kuroka, put his all in the table read, but due to Ida's baby crying, the actors couldn't hear each other, so Ida asked for a break. Then, Kamiya critiqued Higurashi's script because the zombies were written to use axes. When Kasahara tried to speak up, Kamiya said he was asking the director, so Higurashi said he'll inquire about it. Meanwhile, Manabu was already drunk. The table read ended in disaster, and Higurashi just smiled blankly. The days passed with everyone rehearsing for the film. During their break, Saki, an assistant, approached the cameraman, Taniguchi, saying it'll be cool to have close-ups of the zombies' faces, but Taniguchi rejected it, saying it's tacky. When Taniguchi stood up with a grunt, Saki asked if he was alright, so Taniguchi said he had a bad back. When Saki offered to help with the camera work, Taniguchi said no. Back at their home, Mao asked if Nao would ever go back to acting, seeing as how she's studying the One Cut of the Dead script, but Nao said she's done with the acting life because she loses herself whenever she acts. Then, Nao told her that Kamiya would be in Higurashi's project, so Mao started reading the script too. During rehearsals, there was a scene where a zombie Kasahara took the axe away from Ida, but Kamiya still didn't like the logic of zombies being able to use weapons, so he walked away. Meanwhile, Yamakoe approached Ayana again, asking if there were bathrooms around the location, so Ayana said they'll bring mobile toilets. On the other hand, Kuroka was messing around with Ida, telling her to squat in front of the camera. Sitting beside Higurashi, Manabu pointed out how weird the cast and crew were. Manabu apologized and said he had quit drinking. Manabu started talking about losing custody of his daughter because of his drinking problem. Although he laughed about it, he soon broke down crying, so Higurashi comforted him. Back at home, Higurashi also cried while looking at pictures of him and Mao because they're still not on good terms. When Nao checked up on him, she proposed an idea. During the day of the filming, everyone was busy setting up the equipment. Meanwhile, Mao and Nao came along so Mao could see Kamiya. Ayana showed everyone the booze that the producer gifted them, so Manabu immediately checked it. Thus, Higurashi told Ayana to hide it. Sitting beside Kasahara, Yamakoe accidentally drank Kasahara's water and spat it out. Just then, Miki, one of the crew members, arrived with bad news. Kuroka and Ida won't make it because they got into an accident on the way to the location. With 2 hours left until the broadcast, Higurashi stepped in to play the role of the director. When Miki said they still needed a replacement for the makeup artist, Mao volunteered her mom. Thus, Shinichiro gave her the role. A few minutes before the broadcast, Kamiya quitted. Higurashi begged him to stay, saying that he's central to the project, so Kamiya decided to stay. Then, Yamakoe started feeling ill, so he walked away, saying he'll be back. Meanwhile, Manabu noticed his hand shaking. Before starting, Higurashi reminded them that there would be no commercial breaks, so once they started broadcasting, there was no stopping. Everyone took their positions as they count down before starting. Back at the station, Yoshiko watched the broadcast, cheering for them. When Higurashi entered the scene, he got carried away and went off script as if letting out his frustration about the production on screen. Behind the scenes, Ayana handed the eye drops to Chinatsu for her crying scene. When Higurashi checked on the crew, he pushed Mao away, telling her not to bother them. Meanwhile, the makeup artists pushed Manabu into a room to make him look like a zombie, but he's already inebriated after drinking the booze from earlier. Looking for Manabu for his scene, Ayana saw him passed out on the ground, so Higurashi carried him. Stumbling about, they accidentally banged on the door. Then, Ayana showed a note to the actors, telling them to keep going because they were not ready for the next scene. Kamiya improvised by asking about Nao's hobbies, leading to her doing her self-defense thing. Higurashi ended up puppeteering Manabu for his scene, making sure to hide from the camera. Due to his intoxication, Manabu threw up on Kasahara, making Kasahara freak out in disgust as the makeup artists turned him into a zombie. Later, Yamakoe's stomach worsened, so he tried to sneak out while the scene was ongoing, but Higurashi stopped him. The actors improvised, saying there were zombies outside, but Yamakoe still ran away, making Kamiya shout for him using his real name. Still, Yoshiko thought it was going as planned. When the backstage crew was about to stop the broadcast for a quick break, Higurashi addressed them through the camera, telling them not to stop. Higurashi ran after Yamakoe, who said he needed to go to the toilet. Because everything was going wrong, Shinichiro said they should stop, but Mao butted in, saying they could just jump ahead the script to fix the incoherent narrative. Higurashi rushed Yamakoe and told the makeup artist to do the zombie makeup on him while he was doing his business on the grass. Meanwhile, Mao started to lead the backstage crew, changing into a one-cut of the dead shirt herself. Yamakoe's zombie death scene went relatively well as he immediately ran away after his cue was done. In the car scene, Taniguchi struggled to film as his back pain got worse, and he ended up falling. Because Taniguchi remained paralyzed in pain, the shot stayed on the ground despite the actors already running away. With no choice, Saki took charge of the camera and filmed the way she wanted, by zooming into the zombies. Meanwhile, Kamiya confronted Higurashi, complaining about the mess and for slapping him during the first scene. However, Nao appeared and slapped Kamiya again, telling him to return to the set. Higurashi told her to calm down, but she said she was. Backstage, Shinichiro complimented Nao's acting, so Mao explained that her mother lost herself in the acting and once broke a guy's arm in a scene, banning Nao from movie sets. In the next scene, zombie Kasahara was supposed to appear, but Nao was already too into the character and started chasing Chinatsu. Miki realized Nao's going completely off script, so they made the zombies try to stop her, but Nao took them all down. On the rooftop, Higurashi told Saki to film Chinatsu's reaction while they dealt with Nao. Amidst the chaos, Kamiya ended up bumping into the camera crane, breaking it. Soon, Higurashi knocked Nao unconscious by choking her. Higurashi got Chinatsu to scream more as they set up a fake axe on Nao's head. Back at the studio, the producers noticed that Chinatsu's reaction scene was taking too long. After moving on with the scene, Ayana pointed out that they needed the axe, but it was shown to be on Nao's head. Higurashi told her to put a backup axe somewhere for Chinatsu to pick up instead. In the shed scene, Chinatsu acted afraid as she read the note from the crew, telling her to take the the axe in front of the shed. Afterward, Higurashi went to the crew, telling them the crane was broken. Although Shinichiro told him to just use a different camera, Higurashi said they needed a 4-meter high shot for the ending to show the pentagram blood, which was important to the script. Though Shinichiro told him to cut it from the film, Higurashi was insistent, so Mao came up with an idea. In the confrontation scene with Kamiya and Chinatsu, Nao woke up, looking at something in the distance, so Higurashi pulled her down, saying it was a crane. It turned out that the crew started to make a human pyramid to achieve the high shot. Whenever someone messed up the pyramid, Higurashi told Chinatsu and Kamiya to stop acting. Soon, they were able to replace Kamiya's body with a fake, allowing them to continue with the scene. As Chinatsu killed Higurashi in the movie, she cried as blood got squirted onto her since she couldn't take it anymore. But Higurashi told her to keep going because it was finally the climax. After finishing the scene, the rest of the crew ran to the human pyramid with Mao on top, holding the camera to film Chinatsu's final shot. They held the pose for a few minutes until the credits finished rolling. In the end, they finished the broadcast, making Yoshiko satisfied and the crew happy despite all the chaos.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.